And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. Welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, Blog Talk Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio every Friday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows. You can also access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you want to comment or just engage me in conversation about anything. You can do that by calling directly into the studio at 646-652-2464. Again, that number, 646-652-2464. On today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Now today, my expert contributor is going to be John Matthews. He's going to be talking about that conservative syndicate, and my special guest, Sean Lefebvre, is continuing his series, Geared for Wellness. But I want you to know that at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 88 degrees. That's down from 100 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? And it's going to go down to 61. Thank goodness. I can't hardly wait. But now, let's talk about the news. And we've encapsulated that so that we can get a lot of it in and you can kind of know what's going on. You can have conversation with your friends, your neighbors, people you work with, work for. And they'll know that you know what's going on in the world today. Right up just 1 hour ago, moments of joy in Nepal as two are rescued 5 days after the quake. The 15-year-old boy had been buried alive under the rubble of this quake-stricken capital for 5 days, listening to bulldozers clearing mountains of debris, fearful the incessant aftershocks might finally collapse the darkened crevice that he was trapped in. And then, all of a sudden, I saw light. Pimpa Tamang said, recounting the moment today, he was pulled from a hole at the bottom of what was once a 7-story building in Kathmandu. Tamang did not know whether he was alive or dead. I thought I was hallucinating, he said. The improbable rescue was an uplifting moment in Nepal, which had been overwhelmed by death and destruction since the 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit last Saturday. And by today, the government said the toll from the tremor, the most powerful recorded since 1934, had risen to 6,130 dead and 13,827 injured. After night fell, police reported another dramatic rescue. A woman in her 20s, Krishna Devi Khadka, was pulled from a building in the same neighborhood as Tamyang, near Kathmandu's main bus terminal, according to an officer who spoke on condition of anonymity, because he wasn't authorized to talk to the media. Life has become a struggle to survive. It gives us hope, said Hans Rajasi, who wanted Tamang's rescue, or I should say watched Tamang's rescue. We thought they were only bringing out the dead. It's hard to believe people are still alive. When Tamang was initially extricated, rescue workers inserted an IV in his arm, propped him onto a yellow plastic stretcher, the same kind that has helped convey countless dead, and carried him through the ruins on their shoulders as if he was a newly crowned king. You know what? A lot to celebrate, don't you think? I do, that's for sure, if you think about what's happening there. Well, scant details from Gray Death probe disappoint protesters. The refusal of authorities to provide more than a few sketchy details about the Freddie Gray investigation may be legally appropriate, but many people in Baltimore were finding it hard to be patient today when police revealed nothing about the internal investigation they turned over to the state's attorney's office. Nearly 2 weeks after Gray's death, the public still doesn't know much more than it did on day one. The central question, what caused his fatal spinal cord injury, remains a mystery. The transparency is just not there, the Reverend Courtly C.D. Witherspoon said, after Police Commissioner Anthony Batts refused to answer any questions today. Batts said his department's report was delivered a day ahead of time to State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby, and that from now on, any questions should go to her. Mosby also declined to talk, issuing a statement today asking for the public to remain patient and peaceful and to trust the process of the justice system. With rumors flying about how Gray's spine was 80% severed, as his family's lawyer Billy Murphy put it, police did release a new piece of information today, but it served mostly to raise more questions about how truthful the 6 suspended officers have been with investigators. You know, I hate the idea that we just can't get any real, honest-to-God transparency. Don't you? Well, here's one. Officer in fatal arrest, once hospitalized over mental health. The highest-ranking Baltimore police officer in the arrest that led to Freddie Gray's death was hospitalized in April of 2012 over mental health concerns for an unknown duration and had his guns confiscated by local sheriff's deputies. According to records from the sheriff's office and court obtained by the Associated Press, Lieutenant Bryce Rice, who initially pursued Gray on a Baltimore street when Gray fled after Rice made eye contact April the 12th, declared 3 years ago that he could not continue to go on like this and threatened to commit an act that was censored in the public version of a report obtained by the Associated Press from the Carroll County, Maryland Sheriff's Office. Rice lived in the county about 35 miles northwest of Baltimore, but at that time, deputies were responding to a request to check on his welfare by a fellow Baltimore police officer who is the mother of Rice's son. Deputies reported that Rice appeared normal and soft-spoken and said he's been seeking sympathy and attention, but citing credible information, the deputies confiscated both his official and personal guns, called his commanding officer, and transported Rice to the Carroll Hospital Center. The weapons included his .40 caliber police pistol, a 9mm handgun, an AK-47 style rifle, and a .22 caliber rifle and 2 shotguns. I would say that he was well armed, wouldn't you? It seems that way, doesn't it? Well, latest on police custody death, athletes speak about Gray. Among the hundreds marching in Baltimore in support of Freddie Gray was NBA star Carmelo Anthony, who moved to the city as a child. We're being heard. We've just got to be careful to do it the right way. We can't become violent. We've got to be patient, said Anthony, who was born in Brooklyn, New York. Baltimore Ravens coach John Harbaugh has players and former star linebacker Ray Lewis visited 2 Baltimore schools today to help urge calm. Violence escalated Monday after the funeral of Freddie Gray, who died of injuries while in police custody. You know, I've got to tell you, and I'm going to deal with it a little bit later when I'm talking to John Matthews in our Conservative Syndic Corner. You know, it just seems to me that things wouldn't be as bad if the media didn't saturate the airwaves and video waves with all this stuff 24/7 about what's going on and all these tragedies. It just seems to me that fuels the fire. Now, don't go away. I'm going to talk to you about the last U.S. Marines to leave Saigon described chaos of the war's end. We'll be right back after these brief messages. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. When we left, we were talking about the news. Let's get right back to it. You know, the last U.S. Marines to leave Saigon described chaos of the war's end. You know, as the Marines scrambled to the roof of the U.S. Embassy, they locked in a chain-link gate on every other floor to slow the throng of panicked Vietnamese civilians sure to come behind them. They knew if the crowd pushed through the top, they could easily be overrun by hundreds of people desperate to get a seat on one of the last helicopters out of Saigon. The men barricaded the rooftop door using heavy fire extinguishers and wall lockers and waited nervously as Vietnamese gathered outside, rammed a fire truck through the embassy entrance. They could hear looting going on below and watched as cars were driven away and everything from couch cushions to refrigerators was carted out of the offices. South Vietnamese soldiers stripped off their uniforms and threw them into the street out of the fear that they would be shot on sight by the northern enemy. It was still dark when the U.S. ambassador left the roof on a helicopter around 5 a.m., April 30th, 1975. A message went out over the radio with his code name Tiger, 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 followed by Tiger Out, to signal that the diplomat was en route to safety. As the sun came out, the remaining Marines realized they had been forgotten. The pilots mistakenly believed that the call meant everyone had been evacuated. The Marines had no way to contact U.S. airmen ferrying Vietnamese allies and Americans to aircraft carriers offshore because their radio signals didn't carry that far. The last U.S. servicemen in Vietnam were struck alone atop the embassy, hoping someone would realize they were there before the city fell to rapidly advancing communist forces. On the 40th anniversary of the fall of Saigon today, a group of Marines who were there that day returned to what is now Ho Chi Minh City for a memorial ceremony at the site of the old embassy, which is now the U.S. consulate. They had been in charge of guarding the embassy and the defense attaché office beside Tan Son Nhut Airport and were tasked with helping to get the last Americans out. The days leading up to the end of the Vietnam War were chaotic and exhausting. Northern enemy forces had been sweeping southward for weeks, capturing major South Vietnamese strongholds as they went. Everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the capital, Saigon, also fell. Rumors of a looming bloodbath gripped the city, and Americans, along with their South Vietnamese allies, were being evacuated on cargo planes from the airport. You know what? Good to remember. not good to recreate. Think about it. That's kind of how I feel about it. Well, Germany